Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you're watching in the world, welcome along to F1 Esports Series Challengers, where towards the end of this week, we now head towards the PC version here of rounds 5 and 6, first taking you to Silverstone and then to Spa-Francorchamps. My name is Kieran McGinley, and of course, joining alongside me in the commentary box is the fantastic Justin Sutton. Justin, we've already had 2 nights of great racing at 2 legendary circuits. Let's make it 3 for 3, surely.
I think it's pretty likely as well, too. I'm happy to be back. Glad to be back with you, Kieran. But I'm also sad that this week is coming to an end because Silverstone and Spa have put on an absolutely fantastic show for us. Really enjoyed the racing that we've had so far, but we've got 2 more races left this week.
We have indeed. And of course, the last 2 races here are these great tracks. As you can see, Silverstone just behind the graphics here. Great place to go racing. Of course, the birthplace of Formula One all those years ago, all the way back in 1950. And we turn our attention to the PC drivers, of course, and we should probably get you up to speed with how things look after 4 rounds and 2 events with some championship standings. So at the moment, going into this round, Alessio Di Capua is the man on top on 53 points. Patrick Sipos there in second on 45. It's Atta Kalpanen in third on 42. Ruben Vallejo is in 4th place on 41 points. Josh Ardubou in 5th on 37. Bence Sabokonyi in 6th place. He's on 32. That's rounding up the top 6. And then you can see how competitive that top 6 is actually getting. Then Nicolas Matteo just outside it by the 1 point on 31. So too is Kevin Balash, also on 31 points in 8th place. Jan Fehler in 9th, and Sven Nurler rounds out that top 10 of a very packed order here. Looking through the rest of the order now, Pablo Hoglar is in 11th place on 2 points. Norbert Jakob there on in 12th place with 1 point. Jan Fehler, Ika Baena, Julian Naumann and Martin Stefanko all yet to get off the board, although that's unfair to at least 3 of those drivers because this is their first race here tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. So this will be their first opportunity. They've got 6 races in total to try and grab as many points as they possibly can. But I also got to say, I'm really surprised at just how close this PC side is heading into this week's races on the Xbox One and PS4 side. The leader had 61 and 65 points respectively. Championship leader over here on PC only 53, which just shows how competitive it is.
It really does. And you already saw in that pretty much towards the top 6 there, you had Bence Sabokonyi on 32 points. And then you had Nicolas Matteo and Kevin Balash both on 31 points in 7th and 8th place respectively. And it comes to that crunch time, doesn't it, Justin? We're looking in towards that halfway point of the season. Once we're done racing here in Great Britain, we'll be at the halfway mark of the season. So that's going to give us an idea of where these drivers are starting to line up.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are going to have, a bad start. There's certainly some people that we saw this week earlier, actually, on the PS4 and Xbox One sides. They were able to turn their championship around and really pick up a huge haul of points. And I have no doubt that it's very possible that this could happen on the PC side as well. So, we're right around the halfway point for the PC guys, about to be the halfway point after this British Grand Prix race. But, we'll start to get an idea of who's in the running, but still 5 races to go after that one.
Really looking forward to getting into some racing action once again. And if you saw the 2 races last time out, or the 4 races if you want to put it that way, on PS4 and on Xbox, it took 5 races on the PS4 for our first repeat winner. It took us 6 races last night on Xbox to get our first repeat winner. So if the trend continues, you can expect 2 different winners, Justin, or is that not how it works?
We could be on potentially for no repeat winners as well. So it would be interesting to see if we could get that. Ruben Vallejo is pretty high up in the points, yet to pick up a win. Kalpanen as well has not picked up a win, has been on the podium though, as has Vallejo. So there's certainly several names that haven't picked up a win here yet that could do it again. But equally, the guys that have already picked up a win so far this season, they're within a good shot as well of picking up their second victory, the first on the PC side.
And it's been nothing short of action over the past 2 nights. We've already seen as well on PC, there's been lots of drivers who've won a race or finished high up the order, and then in another race they've not done so well. And this is where, especially on the PC side, consistency really starts to shine through.
Yeah, exactly. And we see that as we go on, just as each race progresses, you start to get a better snapshot of the consistency in particular, and just the raw pace at the various different tracks as well, because now we've been to 6 different circuits that are quite different. So we're starting to get a better idea of who's strong where and in what conditions as well, too. Will we see any rain today? I sure hope we do.
Well, we saw rain, and we have seen rain, but only once over the 3 nights so far this week. However, doesn't mean that we won't see it again. We know what the Great British weather is like. It can throw in a curveball every now and again. You can never rely on Silverstone being absolutely bone dry, like you can see in the background there. We've seen a wet qualifying, but we haven't seen a wet race yet. And I hope I haven't just jinxed that, but knowing me and knowing you alongside me, that's probably what's going to happen now.
Yeah, I would love to see a transition period, wet to dry, dry to wet, wet to dry to wet. You know, anything like that would be fantastic. You love to see that kind of thing because it really it shakes things up a little bit, but also it gives people the opportunity to let their wet weather skills shine, and also the ability to find that crossover point, to know when to, you know, there's certain clues, like when DRS gets activated, that's a clue to you that you might want to be switching on to slicks if you haven't already. There's small things like that, but there are other tricks that these drivers will have picked up in their hundreds, maybe thousands of hours that they've spent in F1 2020, just to try and identify when the best time is to come in to switch onto that different tire compound.
Yeah, and I wish you were joking when it's hundreds and thousands or hundreds or thousands of hours of practice that these drivers are putting in. That really is the case. They put everything on the line to just qualify to get here. You know, you've got 16 of the fastest drivers on PC here competing for a spot in that pro exhibition. So it looks like it's going to be just really, you know, throw it to the wall and see if it sticks action out here. That's not a phrase. Let's make it one. I guarantee you we'll make it one now. But yeah, hopefully we've got Silverstone qualifying coming up. And speaking of that, we've got 5.89 kilometers to cover here at one of the birthplaces of Formula One, 2 DRS zones. And as you'll see here, plenty of high-speed corners to take you through. And now it's time to take you on a lap of Silverstone.
Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton, and this is a lap of Silverstone. Naturally, my home Grand Prix. A couple of the coolest sections are the old Copse, which is now flat, and Max and Beckett's, which is a really high-speed section. So check it out. So coming across the start line in Silverstone, turn 1 is flat. You're just shifting up into 8th gear through here, trying to be as smooth as possible and scrub as little speed off as possible. Breaking down to turn 3. It's not so easy, but it's pretty flat in a sense. But this kind of fast chicane, it's really just about trying to keep the minimum speed up. Then you're up down to the back straight, DRS open under the bridge, breaking down into Brooklyn's. This is a very kind of wide corner on the way in. It gets tighter, and then you've got the long sweeping right-hander, which takes ages to get round. Feels like it never stops. And it's an odd line, it's multiple lines through there. Then down the old pit straight, flat into Copse. Very, very hard to find the right turning point. You can't go too wide, otherwise you get a penalty on the exit. Then you're flying up to Max and Beckett's. This is flat out here, but positioning is everything to line yourself up for the exit of 13, which is here. Very, very bumpy, and everything's kind of rattling in the car. Then flat out down Hanger Straight, trying to set your position, eyesight set on Stowe Corner, which is incredibly fast. And it's really about having a compromise of entry, mid, and exit, breaking down to a short chicane, and then flat round the last corner.
And that's a lap then of Silverstone then, as taken through with us by Sir Lewis Hamilton, looking at the Hamilton Straight. You really can't get that picture anywhere else. But yes, absolutely flying round there. And our drivers will be taking us out on the track very shortly for a short qualifying, 18 minutes to post the fastest lap time possible. We've already seen some great laps out there, both in the wet and in the dry. We'll wait to see what sort of weather we're met with in just a couple of moments' time.
Very anxious to find out about that. In fact, it's going to be revealing itself any moment now as we prepare to go to that qualifying session. But as you said, yeah, it's been absolutely thrilling with the wet qualifying, with the dry qualifying. It was extremely close under both circumstances, and it certainly looks like it's threatening weather. But yeah, at the moment it is dry. They're out on the softs.
Yeah, and you can see how many of them are out there right now, with how many grey clouds are in that sky and how close they are together out on track. That's not a great sign, but I will have to say we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out in this qualifying session. It's pretty much the same weather we had on Hamilton's hot lap just earlier on. It just looks like that horrible grey sky where you don't know if it's going to rain yet. Of course, the drivers will know. The drivers will be able to see that and be able to have some sort of idea about whether or not it's going to rain. But we're riding on board here with Pablo Hoglar as he now makes his way in through Maggots and Beckett and then through that left-hander of Chapel and down at the hangar straight. And obviously, whilst all the drivers are bunched up like this, you can have a little bit of a dirty air effect. You've got to try and find your way and find your own piece of track around this 5.8 kilometer circuit.
That's right. This isn't like Monza where you specifically want to try and be behind a car. You really want to have a nice gap. The yellow flag you're seeing in Sector 3 up at the top left is just because the drivers are slowing right down, giving each other lots of space. We're having a look at Pablo Hoglar. He's one of those drivers that was just slowing down. But then you can see they just really let it go out of the penultimate corner there to just carry as much speed onto the Hamilton straight as they possibly can and give themselves the best possible lap. And yeah, we got some footage, actually. We got the webcam footage of some of the drivers, and I just got the weather forecast. It does look like it is going to remain overcast. I'm not seeing any wet weather, it looks like.
Well, let's see how that plays out later
Yeah,
on.
we'll
We know how Great British Weather works. We know how the Great British Weather forecast works as well. So we'll just see what happens there. But if it stays dry for the entirety of the session, then we should see some great lap times around here as we ride on board with Pablo Hoglar making our way through Luffield, and then we make our way through Woodcote and towards Cops Corner. And this really will be flat out, especially in qualifying trim, taking as much curve on the left-hand side as possible, darting through there, just chucking the car in and using the aero to try and hold the car to the ground as we head now through Maggots and then through this snaking section, along through to Beckett's now, and then towards the Chapel curve. A little bit of understeer through Beckett's there, you saw that one, but now we make our way on towards the hangar straight where the DRS will be open on our way now towards Stowe. You're going downhill and then there's a little bit of a bump in the track, then you're swigging it right. Don't take too much curve on the left-hand side as you make your way through Vale and then on towards Club Corner section. Again, attacking that left-hand side curve to really carry as much speed through as you possibly can. Sipos sets a 23.6. How about Pablo Hoglar? Well, he set a 24.0, I think that is, or a 24.1. Kevin Balash, though, goes second fastest. And as you can see, that 23.6 is looking a mighty good time at this moment in time. We have seen 23.5s from other platforms, but of course, as you constantly say, Justin, comparing platforms is not always as straightforward as it seems.
Yeah, exactly right. There's always minor differences from one to the other. You can ask the drivers about it. They'll tell you just the slight differences that they experience when they go from one to the other using the same equipment. But it's very similar, which is why inevitably when we get them all on the same platform, they do run very close no matter what platform they originated from. But Josh Ardubou putting in a 123.5, the first of the drivers to dip into the 0.5s. Tom 97 is actually the one of the new drivers that we have for today. Tom replacing Thomas Amaro. So we're trading Tom for Tom. We've got, but yeah, it is Tom 97, aka Tom Martinez. That's his real name. In the Ferrari today, which I'm sure he's going to be thrilled about, driving the Ferrari as well. So he'll be driving for this race here at Silverstone and at Spa.
Yes, he will indeed, and he now makes his way onwards now towards Aintree and down the Wellington Straight. DRS will be open for him right now as he makes his way now onwards towards the left-hander there of Brooklands, and you can see they're not on an outlap, on an outlap right now. It looks like he slowed the car down. You can see there that DRS was used at some point in this lap, but for whatever reason, he's backed out of it for now. But 2 outlaps pretty much is what it's become for Tom 97. Does mean you get to use a bit more fuel, therefore the car is a little bit lighter, so it's not the end of the world, especially with 12 minutes on the clock. Exactly right. Tom is he's a content creator who has gotten really quick on the F1 games recently over the years, and it's become, you know, a part of his channel and all that kind of stuff. It's been great to watch him improve and grow as a driver and get faster and faster and finally reach this level. As far as I know, this is the first time we've ever seen Tom 97 in the Challenger series. So this is a first for him, I believe. So he might be feeling a little bit of those nerves. Yeah, Josh Ardubou, though, top of the table right now, 23.5. And, if you've listened to him talk, he's talked about trying to get into the 23.4s, possibly a 23.3. That's a possibility, but definitely there's some time for him to find there as the session progresses on. He does hold provisional pole position with that 23.5. It's Patrick Sipos in second place. Atta Kauppinen there is rounding off the top three, but 0.003 of a second separates himself and fourth place man Ruben Vallejo.
Oh, we could see actually some drivers were getting some invalidated lap times, so that's probably why we're not seeing all the times on the board. But we're having a look right now at the Haas of Alessio Di Capua, the current championship leader, coming into this. But again, not by much. It's very, very close on the PC side heading into this third event. Alessio Di Capua sitting on 53 points, and Patrick Sipos just behind on 45 points, just 8 points behind. It's another 3 down to Kauppinen, another 1 down to Ruben Vallejo. So we're talking about 12 points between first and fourth. So, Ruben Vallejo picks up a win here, and Alessio Di Capua picks up anything lower than fourth, and they will potentially end up swapping positions just from one race, and that's even if Alessio Di Capua is almost on the podium. So, again, it just really highlights how competitive this series has been across all platforms, but on the PC in particular, it seems even harder to predict.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there, Justin. We're just watching Capua now make his way on towards the final couple of corners, making a way now in towards the club corner section. Flicking the car right, and it's this double right-hander using that curve on the left-hand side. And towards the start-finish line, Di Capua puts it on provisional pole, 23.396. He's not hanging about with that first lap time. And that is a really, really good time from Di Capua then. So he's made a statement, and he wants to really set the bar, doesn't he, Justin? That was a great lap.
Yeah, of course, the most rubbered in lap. Every lap that comes through is the most rubbered in lap. So every time that comes in is the best conditions for the track so far, unless it's, been raining or something like that, obviously. So it does have the benefit of that slightly faster track, but I mean, that's still an extremely quick time. It would have been an extremely quick time, I think, even if he had said it a few minutes ago. But he's still got plenty of time. We've got a little over 9 minutes still remaining in this session, so plenty of opportunities for everybody to get a time in and get a competitive time in. Julian here and Tom97 yet to put a time on the board, but it looks like they're looking to rectify that now.
Yeah, Julian Naumann now makes his way in through this double right-hander, going through the 18th and final corner, onwards now towards the start-finish line. What time will he set? 24.2, which is enough to put him onto the 6th row of the grid there in 12th place. But having a look through the order then, you can see 14 places covered by less than a second. So that's a really, really... it just shows you time and time again, no matter what we throw at the drivers, they seem to just be within that second of each other, and that's covering the entire field.
And Julian does slip very nicely into that, a 124.2 for him. It's just outside the top 10, unfortunately, for him. But again, still plenty of opportunities. He's got enough time, I would say, to probably do 2 more runs. As we have a look at Josh Ardubou in the Mercedes. Who's had a bit of an up and down championship. He's had highs, he's had lows, but he's got a win. He's got a podium in the 4 starts. This is, of course, his home race along with some other drivers. Well, Jake Wills would have had his home race here, but actually not present. So, I think actually he's the only one aside from maybe Tom. But I know Tom lives in Spain as well, so that gets a little bit weird for him, I would assume. But Josh Ardubou in particular is going to be looking to have a really solid performance here. He's another person that's been doing a lot of streaming and content creation and stuff with the F1 game, and picking up a lot of fans and followers and all that kind of stuff, and very well deserved for him as well too. Also, I find it very interesting, by the way, that they actually shorten the run down to Stowe. They don't let the car run out wide come out of Chapel. I've noticed this on a lot of the onboards. They don't let the car run out wide. They just hang it to the left and shorten the distance on the run down to Stowe, because of course you want to be on the left-hand side when you get to Stowe.
Yes, you do indeed. And Ardubou now makes his way through the final corner and onwards now towards the start-finish line. And it's a 23.492 then from Ardubou. So he improves on his lap time, but not on position just yet. But listening to him over the past couple of days, he is really confident going into these 2 races. He's really confident of not only getting podiums, but wins, of course, as well. So that will be a huge bonus to him if he can get those 25 points at the 2 races. Patrick Sipos has just gone second fastest with a 23.418. Atta Kauppinen there, 23.491, puts him now into 3rd place. And in the blink of an eye, just as you were saying, Justin, it's all about crossing the line at that precise moment, and you want to be the last car across the line to set the final flying lap, because in theory, the track is at its best.
Exactly, and it might only be worth half a tenth, but you can see how much a half a tenth can be worth. Several positions. I think just yesterday, in fact, we saw 600ths was worth 4 positions. So, if you can find any time whatsoever at all, then that is a great way of just gaining some positions here in qualifying. Benza Sabakonyi at the bottom left-hand corner of your screens, driving the Renault, of course, currently in 6th position and in a very tight part of the grid where there's a lot of people. It seems to me, though, that the 0.4 is the new 0.7. It seems that the drivers are finding around about 2 or 3 tenths on these second runs.
Yes, and as the track evolves, as the drivers find that more grip out there, they will just get quicker and quicker. At the moment, then, De Capua is your top runner in qualifying. Patrick Sipos in 2nd place, Atta Kauppinen in 3rd, and Josh Ardubou is in 4th place now. 1,000th of a second separates the 3rd and 4th place driver. We keep telling you it's close in qualifying. That's as close as it can possibly get.
Exactly right. I wonder if Sabakonyi was actually listening to us there. I saw him smiling as he was coming out of Stowe there, I think. I hope we didn't ruin his quick lap or anything like that, because I would feel absolutely terrible about that if that is indeed the case. 5 minutes to go still in this session. Plenty of time for all of the guys still in the pits to come back out and set a quick time. In fact, plenty of time even for those on track to go back into the pits, fit a new set of tires, and get back out there. So, still plenty of time for everybody to give it their last final attempt here.
Yes, Ruben Vallejo now makes his way through Stowe, but he has backed off of that quite substantially there as he now makes his way into the pit lane. Yes, he does. So coming in now, 6th place, 23.6 from Vallejo, puts him onto the 3rd row of the grid so far. And what we've seen, now that we're in the pit lane, what we have seen from the past 2 nights here at Silverstone is that drivers really want to try and gain, 3-4 tenths of a second by leaving their braking as late as possible coming into the pit lane during the race, but then getting slapped on the wrist with a 5-second time penalty as De Capua goes even quicker, 23.320. He extends his lead at the top of the table here on that provisional pole. He really does mean business around Silverstone.
Not a massive improvement, but yeah, he found some hundredths, and yeah, it's just extended that gap ever so slightly. He's now almost a full tenth up on Patrick Sipos in 2nd position. Again, he did set that time a little bit later. Now 4 minutes remaining in the session, maybe 3 minutes left when he gets back to the pits. A little bit less than, or a little bit more than that, actually, I would say. I think he can get back out there probably, but it's gonna be right on the edge for De Capua. But Julian, currently in 16th position. He's in last, but he's only a couple of tenths off of improving on Martin Stefanko, Steffi in 15th position there. So we'll see if Julian can, in fact, move himself up just a little bit. Great to see Tom 97, though, up in the top 10, already competitive.
Yeah, that top 10, that 10th place is revered by some drivers. They really don't like qualifying in 10th place. It's either 9th or 11th, but 10th place just leaves you stranded there on a set of used tyres, whereas the cars behind you all on fresh tyres of whatever they want.
Exactly, yeah. I can't remember who it was yesterday, but it might have been Pinecone, potentially. But yeah, one of the drivers yesterday touching on that exact subject, that 10th is just an absolutely terrifying prospect, especially if anybody behind you is starting on fresh soft tires, because they are going to be absolutely rapid at the start of the race. We have seen it done before. It's not the most common thing. If you start outside the top 10, historically what we've seen is most drivers going for the medium compound, but you do get those every once in a while. You get those drivers going onto the softs and just trying to pick up as many positions right at the start as they can.
Yeah, here's Jan Fehler then as he now makes his way through turns 1 and 2, flying through Abbey and then through Farm Curve and then onwards then towards the first braking zone really of the circuit, through Village, then through the right-hander, then in towards the loop, one of the slowest parts of the circuit. Then be careful with the wheel spin on the exit here, go up the gears if you need to, and then we make our way through Aintree and then down the Wellington Straight. Then you can see the concentration alone in this lap. Now making our way on towards Brooklands, using plenty of curve on the right-hand side to open up the corner. Now making our way through Luffield here. Plenty of lines you can take through Luffield, and all of them are very, very valid because they all give you that speed through the corner that you need. And now we'll make our way through Woodcote. You see there the drivers are playing with that white line on the right-hand side, now coming towards Copse Corner, and again, flat out through there, no hesitation at all, very confident in the setup he's brought along. Now making our way through Maggots, and then snaking our way through in towards Beckett and Chapel. And I think he's backed out of this one. Yes, he has. So he wasn't happy, or something had happened on that lap, so Failer's backed out of it. And with not a lot of time on the clock, it does mean he's not going to come back to the pits, but he has to stay out there, maybe set another lap time on these tyres, which isn't ideal.
Yeah, I think he's actually trying to keep the brakes warm and trying to harvest some energy right now. That's why you see him braking really aggressively on the straight. He's just trying to set himself up for one more final attempt. I did get to see the online, or excuse me, I got to see like his speed and everything through that lap, which was really, really nice to see. Minimum speed through Copse, 188 miles per hour was what he was carrying through there. So Jan Failer will have one more final attempt. He is currently in that 11th place position. Josh Ardubou, another driver with one more attempt. We'll see what he can do.
Well, we'll see what he can do indeed as we head our way towards the closing stages of this qualifying session. Remember, of course, we do have one more race after this one, except that qualifying session at Spa will be one shot. So only one attempt. You won't get multiple chances to set your lap time, just the one and only chance. For now, though, it is last chance saloon for these drivers. Then De Capua currently provisionally pole position for the British Grand Prix. 1:23.320, the fastest time we've seen here so far in this section. Patrick Sipos then in second place, Atta Kauppinen in third, Josh Ardubou in fourth place, Nicolas Matteo in fifth, Ruben Vallejo in sixth place, Benta Sabo-Konyi in seventh, Sven Nurle in eighth place, Ika Baena in ninth, and Tom 97 rounding off the top 10 for now. But Jan Failer only 2 thousandths off of being into the top 10. Josh Ardubou then making his way onwards now towards the final couple of corners, and the car diving right out of the way there as Ardubou now makes his way towards that start-finish line and goes third fastest in 23.4 from Ardubou, puts himself now higher onto the second row of the grid, and those lap times are going to be coming in thick and fast. Here comes Kauppinen towards the line, stays P4 on that lap time, so he will stay there, and Patrick Sipos then 23.4 at this moment in time, second place for him, as we see drivers will be setting those lap times thick and fast.
Yeah, Kauppinen didn't have a great Sector 2 or Sector 3. He had a personal best actually in Sector 1, but unfortunately it all fell apart in the latter stages of the lap. Patrick Sipos, again, second position as it stands right now. Can he challenge that? I can tell you right now, Josh is not going to be happy. Josh Ardubou with that third place. And again, that might actually end up being lower. Nicolas Matteo comes very, very close, actually, to relegating Josh Ardubou. He's only 2/100 slower than that Mercedes. Let's see what Patrick Sipos has.
You see then as he comes towards the line, goes provisionally pole 23.318, 2 thousandths of a second quicker than De Capua so far. But De Capua, I do believe, is on a flying lap as we make our way now on towards Stowe, flying our way through the right-hander. Let's see what De Capua can do. Series leader here in Challengers, and now making our way in through the final couple of corners. Is this going to be a lap that could provisionally take him to pole position? Let's find out as he heads towards the line. Yes, it is 1:23 and all the twos. De Capua puts himself back onto provisional pole position with only a handful of drivers left to finish their lap times. Kauppinen is out there somewhere, so too is Jan Failer. There is the Jan Failer there, speak of the devil, so he's backed out of his lap time. Tom 97 now down into 13th place, but I do believe he is on some sort of flying lap, so that leaves us 2 drivers to find. Tom 97 coming back into the pit lane, so all that's left is Kauppinen, who doesn't have an icon next to his name, so we assume he's on a lap. There he is coming into the pit lane, so now we can safely say that Alessio De Capua grabs pole position with that 1:23.222. What a lap time from De Capua.
What an effort. Absolutely incredible. Fantastic lap to take that pole position here at the British Grand Prix. The first of the 2 races that we have today. Don't forget, we will be racing at Spa after this as well, too. But very well deserved. Again, our championship leader coming into this race. And you have to imagine he's feeling really, really good after a lap like that. Nearly a 10th up as well, which is an absolute age by F1 Esports standards.
Oh, you absolutely said it right there, Justin. I mean, we saw 600 of a second separating the top 4. last night. A tenth of a second separates first and second place here on the PC side of things, but I think that's De Capua really showing us that over that one lap, he just nailed everything. What a lap it was from him, and he puts himself now on pole position for the British Grand Prix. It's Patrick Sipos in second place, Josh Ardubou rounding off the top three, Nicolas Matteo in fourth place, Atta Kalpanen in fifth place, Ruben Vallejo in sixth, Benta Sabo Konyi in seventh, Jan Fehler in eighth, Sven Nurle in ninth, and Ika Baena rounding off the top 10. It's Pablo Hoglar in 11th place, Norbert Jakob in 12th, Tom 97 there in 13th place, Kevin Balash in 14th, Martin Stefanko is in 15th place, and there you can see Julian Naumann there rounding off the top 16. All 16 drivers separated by 1 second. We keep telling you, it's close.
7 tenths for the top 14 as well. And again, Martin Stefanko just jumping in, basically. You know, it's been a while since, for those that aren't aware, Martin drove for Haas in the F1 Esports Pro Series at one point. So he's no stranger to F1 Esports. He knows what it takes, but he does a lot of racing and stuff. So, and not just in single seaters. So he's all over the place. One of those guys that will race in absolutely anything. You know, he's probably racing in the grocery store with the push cart. So, yeah, he just jumped in and he's on the pace again. You know, it might look bad like that he's far down or whatever, but clearly on the pace. And let's see what he can do in the race. He's got that. He's got the confidence and the experience of being in F1 Esports previously, so he might do quite well in the race actually.
Top two on the grid for the British Grand Prix are your top two in that order for the series so far. Alessio De Capua on pole position with Patrick Sipos there in second place. But qualifying is done. We now get to see how these drivers will handle the race here as we head towards the British Grand Prix under the blue skies here at Silverstone. We now make our way on towards that Hamilton straight to start this race as we count up the lights. It is 5 red lights. And we're racing at Silverstone. What are the starts like? Let's see who can get the run down towards turn one. And De Capua's got a good start then. Patrick Sipos will follow him through. Look at that. Nicolas Matteo moves up into third place then. Josh Ardubou struggles off the start. He goes down to fourth place, but he will not give up there as they now file their way in towards turn three and through turn four then. It's De Capua still leading the way. Jan Fehler trying to go round the outside, going through the loop and then on towards Aintree. Then we're going too wide through multiple times. Atta Kalpanen now going up to fifth place, but we're running side by side with Ruben Vallejo. Here is Jan Fehler as well. We're watching. There's Vallejo going up the inside of Atta Kalpanen. He does grab fifth place. Oh, that's Jan Fehler getting a little bit of oversteer then. And Benta Sabo Konyi goes up the inside and takes a position. And there's yellow flags in sector 2. We've seen Ika Baena fall down the order then. And let's see what happened to him. 6 seconds down. Yeah, he's fallen into trouble there. But you can see Sven Nurle getting past Jan Fehler then after a little bit of wheel spin at Lutfield. And Jan Fehler's dropped down to 9th place. All in all, though, a very, very clean start. Good start from Nicolas Matteo, who now finds himself in third.
Yeah, extremely clean start. And yeah, Ardubou's not going to be happy about the McLaren overtaking him on the opening lap. He's now fallen outside of the podium positions. And again, we know he is going to be extremely motivated to perform very, very well here at his home Grand Prix. So it's unfortunate for Josh Ardubou, but he's still in it. It's not like he's lost any of his front wing or anything like that. You can see the positions gained on the left-hand side. A few drivers picking up a couple of positions. Part of that is because of Ika Baena dropping back, losing 6 positions. So no surprise, Alessio De Capua with the fastest lap. Oh, looks like some battling at turn 1.
Of all places, but that is Naumann then. He goes up the inside and passes Kevin Balash. That is for 13th place. Meanwhile then, Tom 97 has now got up into 11th place. He's had a good start as well. He started 13th place. He's up 2 positions now and moves into 11th place. So the points are not too far away for Tommy Martinez. Meanwhile then, we've got Atta Kalpanen fighting away with Benta Sabo Konyi as we make our way in towards Lutfield for the second time in this race. Sorry, Brooklyn's first. Now we're in Lutfield as Sabo Konyi has the inside line. You can see Kalpanen's got the outside line. Who will get the better run out of the corner as we now make our way through Woodcote and towards Copse Corner. Now too wide through Copse Corner is very, very sketchy indeed. There you can see Sabo Konyi is the one that blinks and Kalpanen takes back 6th place, moves then ahead once again of Sabo Konyi, but those two are battling hammer and tail for that one.
By the way, just for the viewers at home, everybody who started outside the top 10 is running the medium compound tires. Ika Baena down in 16th position. He was on the softs, of course, but essentially the 6 drivers ahead of him, from Norbert Jakob all the way down to Martin Stefanko in 15th, they're all on the medium compound tires. But interestingly, right now, the biggest gap that's starting to form is between Norbert Jakob and Pablo Hoglar, 2 medium runners. The DRS is about to get activated here. He's got to be very, very careful. A couple of drivers into the pits, and they're medium runners, interestingly.
Yeah, they're looking to try and get the soft tyres all the way to the end. Well, it's a risky strategy, but if it pays off, then you've got track position out there. So it could be one to look at. So Hoglar comes into the pit, so too does Kevin Balash. I think Ika Baena is into the pit as well. He struggled there somewhere out in sector 2 of lap number 1. Finds himself a little bit out of there, but it's not over yet. He still has some time to pull this back. You never know what's going to happen up ahead of you as well. DRS is now online. We're just beyond the shoulder of Benta Sabo Konya there as he's trying to close back up to Atta Kalpanen, as all of these runners now from 1st through to 13th all will have DRS on each other. So it's going to be a little bit difficult. You've got to try and keep your own head. Don't force a move if it's not going to happen.
Exactly. We saw how difficult it can be to overtake in these kinds of situations when you have so many cars picking up slipstream and DRS. But again, as I highlighted earlier in the week, it also does a great job of showing who the best drivers are. Because to be able to overtake in this kind of circumstance is just another way of showing that you are one of the best drivers on this grid. So this is an opportunity for these drivers to try to shine.
Yes, as we see then, Sabo Konya still trying to make his way through now, in through Stowe, and losing a little bit of touch from Atta Kalpanen there, but you know, is still within DRS range, so it's not the end of the world. DiCaprio, though, still leads the way as Sipos is in 2nd place. Matteo then up into 3rd place. There he is, flying his way through. Got a great start. Jumped Josh Ardubou from the start, going through the first couple of turns, and hasn't really looked back over the past 3 laps, trying to close in on Patrick Sipos ahead of him. We've got we've got Jakob in the pits, Tom 97 and Julian Naumann all into the pit lane then, so they'll be looking to go onto a set of soft tyres because they all started there on the mediums. So soft tyres to the end. Again, it takes bravery there. I wouldn't want to be them on lap 13.
It's very interesting. I wonder if they had to adjust their setups in order to allow them to run the soft compound tire for so much of the race, because obviously coming in at the end of lap 3 in a 13-lap race means you got to do 10 laps on that set of soft compound tires. Now, of course, they've burned off a little bit of fuel after doing some racing, so the car's a little bit lighter compared to when they started, so that's going to help them ever so slightly. And again, they may have made adjustments to the setup of the car to allow them to run that softer compound for more laps, even if it means having a slower car in qualifying. If it means more laps on the softs, then they could be hugely beneficial. So I'm very interested to see, and we did see, I've already forgotten who because there's so much action this week, but we did see somebody run the soft tires for an extremely long period of time without, popping or anything like that. So certainly it can be done.
Yeah, we saw Name Changer go
right.
12 laps on the soft tyres, but he did have a drive-through penalty at the beginning of the race, so he was truly there to just try and, interest some onlookers as well, interest the spectators to try and get his way through, but he did eventually have to pit in for medium tyres and finished, unfortunately, outside of the points, but not for the man for trying. Here's Norbert Jakob then. He's on the back of Pablo Hoglar, pulls to the right-hand side with that DRS, and he's got the move done before Stowe corner. Norbert Jakob now up into 11th place ahead of Pablo Hoglar, so that's a big move there because Norbert Jakob has already made his stop. He's now ahead of Pablo Hoglar.
Yeah, that's impressive stuff, and I have to say, a lot more drivers into the pits going into the mediums, and that was at the end of lap 4. So some of the drivers starting on the softs, they want to get rid of them after only 4 laps. Some of these drivers on mediums, side by side into the right-hander there. Wow, the Alpha Tauri around the outside. That looked rather easy, actually, for Norbert Jakob. I wonder if Jan Fehler is just trying to pick up the DRS here. But yeah, some of these drivers, they want to get rid of the softs after 4 laps. Other drivers are trying to go 10 or 11 laps on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Here comes Jan Fehler, though. He's not done with this as we go side by side all the way through Brooklands. He's got the inside line there, but you can see Jakob still on the inside there, trying to shut the door. Didn't happen because the AlphaTauri was still there. Through Luffield they go, and then through Woodcut, and Jakob has managed to hold on there. Jan Fehler wanted that move so badly, but there's Pablo Hoglar. Are we about to go side by side through Cops? We are! Side by side they go. Pablo Hoglar takes that position away from Jan Fehler. They went side by side through Cops. We're still going side by side. No. It's Tom 97 who's taken advantage. He's now up into 11th place. Scrap everything we said about Cops Corner. Scrap everything we said about Maggott and Beckett. You can overtake there.
That was absolutely wild. I've never seen anything quite like that. That was incredible from Tom 97, actually, to go side by side through those corners. I mean, what a way to make a name for yourself. Again, first time we're seeing him this season, but holy cow, that is hugely entertaining, and he's not even in the points right now. That's amazing.
It just shows you how hard you need to battle to just get yourself into an opportunity to score points, let alone score them outright. But Tom97 making his moves then, and now he's on the back of Pablo Hoglar. We just saw a car exit the pit lane there, but you can see Norbert Jakob does have a penalty to his name, so that will be added to the end of his race. But Tom97 right now has got points on his visor. He wants them, he needs them to try and get himself up the order. And now you can see Pablo Hoglar tries to defend to the inside. We're going side by side once again, going through Brooklands then. Round the outside, Tom97 will have to go. Not this time though, Pablo Hoglar saw that one coming.
You can go around the outside at Brooklands, but yeah, you got to stick it. Like, he unfortunately got the door closed on him. It didn't 100% work out, but he gave it a go, and I appreciate that. Oh, as Josh Ardubou gets released, so to speak, as Nicolas Matteo peels off into the pits along with Ruben Vallejo and Ate Kalpanen as well. So Josh Ardubou now still on those soft compound tires, possibly looking to do the overcut, which we have seen be successful in F1 Esports Challengers. So I'm very interested to see what he can do on this lap.
Yeah, it's mainly because of the traffic behind you as well. You've got to think about that. Some drivers will be held up with the traffic that's around them. So the overcut is there to try and make sure you get as much clean air as possible before you then have to battle your way back through. So it's a chance to set some really consistent lap times. There's Patrick Sipos then. He's right behind Alessio De Capua as we make our way through. And Kevin Balash has retired from this race. He becomes our first retirement of the evening and will not finish this race. Sabo Konyi, though, moves ahead of Ate Kalpanen. That's for 6th place then. Meanwhile then, Ardubou leads the way. He's yet to stop. He's the only driver yet to make a stop in this race so far. De Capua is about 27 seconds behind Patrick Sipos. You're watching there in 3rd place. And this is what Ardubou will be hoping for. These two to battle a bit, and it will help him extend the gap up front.
Even without the battling, he's actually extending the gap ever so slightly. Actually, De Capua is just crawling it back now. I have a feeling that De Capua is actually looking at that gap, but you can see Josh Ardubou is driving so hard. He's trying so hard to try and make sure that he gains at least one position from staying out like that. Of course, he will. There he is. He's in the pits now. I did expect him into the pits at the end of lap 7. He's going to have to do a 6-lap stint on the mediums. They'll be a little bit fresher than the cars around him. So he is setting himself up, I think, for a good finish here, but he just needs to execute, make some overtakes on track as well. Oh, here we go, down towards Stowe.
Yeah, we've got two horses in battle here. We're watching on board with Alessio De Capua and Patrick Sipos defending that one like his life depends on it as we make our way through Club Corner. He's held on for now. Josh Ardubou currently in the pits then. It's one of the longest pit lanes on the calendar, at least in terms of length of time. You are actually stuck on the limiter. Sipos then will make his way through the first 2 turns. Abbey and Farm. There is Josh Ardubou, who manages to rejoin just in 4th place. So just behind that battle, he's right behind, I think, Nicolas Matteo. So he's back where he started, but he's on much fresher tyres than the drivers around him, and he will have saved a little bit of ERS in the pit lane, so he'll have that to use as well on these next couple of laps. There's De Capua, though, right on the back of Patrick Sipos as we once again make our way in towards Brooklands.
Also, Josh Ardubou, he didn't have any risk pitting. He was in the pits completely by himself. There's no risk of being held up in the pits or having any sort of problems related to other people in the pits. So I think that was the right call from him. It didn't gain him any positions, as you mentioned, but it did certainly prevent him from losing any positions, I have to say. So I do agree with that call. It's always good to do something just ever so slightly different, and it's especially good to go into the pits by yourself whenever you can, if you can. But let's see if Alessio De Capua is going to try it again. He looks a little bit further back this time. He would have to have a lot of closing speed to try it into Stowe.
He would indeed, but not for the man for trying, that's for sure. And 3 out of the top 4 have had a race win in Challengers so far this season. The only person that hasn't is Nicolas Matteo. His best finish was 2nd place last time out at Austria, I believe it was. So he's looking to try and get a race win, but if not, he's doing really well in terms of consistency because he's 7th in the series so far on 31 points. Just any sort of points, any sort of big scoring points will be good enough to get himself into the top 6. That's what you need to do. Sipos followed by De Capua, followed by Matteo, followed by Ardubou. Vallejo is just in the distance there, 5/10 off. He's still within DRS zone. Ate Kalpanen then in 6th place, 1.9, but he is closing, and closing pretty quickly as well. Benton Sabo Konyi in 7th place with Sven Nurle in 8th, Jakob in 9th, and Hoglar rounds out the top 10. But Sipos right now leads the way with 5 to go, 4 and a bit if you pick it.
De Capua is doing a great job. I think Ardubou is going to be the most interested in making moves here. I think Alessio De Capua and Nicolas Matteo, they're happy to hang on to these positions for the meantime. but Josh Ardubou is not going to be interested in any of that. Ruben Vallejo is right behind as well, too. He's within DRS range of the Mercedes that we're on board with right now. But then you have a 2-second gap down to Atte Kapanen in 6th position in that other house. He's got quite a bit of company, a bit of a DRS train just behind him going all the way down to Martin Stefanko in 14th position. But here comes Ardubou.
Here comes Ardubou, indeed. He's got the slipstream, but does he have the momentum to try and carry it through? No, he did. You just saw him turn down the ERS there. He wasn't willing to try and move there just yet. But as we make our way now in towards the club corner section, we're just making our way through here. Patrick Sipos still leading this way. De Capua second, Matteo third. We're riding on board with Josh Ardubou, who wants a podium. He wants the race win. He's so confident on his pace here. He knows he can do well, but he's got to try and make these moves happen and happen quickly. He's only got 4 laps here to make the best out of these tyres. Ika Baena becomes the second man to retire from this race, so we're now down to 14 runners.
Josh Ardubou dipping a wheel in the grass under braking for Village and locking up on the right side as well, too. He's just right on the limit with what is acceptable and what will keep you pointing in the right direction and all of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, he is just pushing so hard, taking a very different line through Brooklands and Lovefield. It's a complex of corners that you can take very different lines through to have very different results or even very similar results with the different lines. But you could just see the minor differences between Ardubou and Matteo ahead of him in the McLaren. But again, De Capua in 2nd position, currently our championship leader coming into this race. I do believe if Patrick Sipos wins this race, he would not take the lead. They would be very close if they were to finish like this, Patrick Sipos and Alessio De Capua, and they would both pull a gap to the rest of the field. So I don't know if De Capua is going to be happy with this position. Yeah, I mean, Patrick Sipos is his biggest threat, so overtaking that Renault is probably his #1 priority for the next 3 laps here.
As we now make our way onto lap number 11, 3 to go then. Patrick Sipos still leads the way, but I think drivers will be thinking around them as well. Do you want to be the car in that sort of pack without DRS on the final lap? That's what they'll all be thinking. Maybe De Capua is trying to leave this move as late as he possibly can, so Patrick Sipos doesn't have a chance to get the position back. The only problem with doing it so late is that you don't give yourself enough room if you make an error, if you don't have the greatest lap in the world. And that, for these drivers, is just having a lock-up in a place where you wouldn't normally lock up.
And potentially it could put him under attack from Nicolas Matteo. Every lap that he doesn't get past Patrick Sipos, I imagine Nicolas Matteo is getting more and more interested about possibly taking that 2nd place position. Again, he's the only one in the top 4 that hasn't won a race so far, and I imagine he fancies his chances being less than 1 second away from that win. I mean, it is right there. So I imagine the carrot on the stick effect is quite strong for Nicolas Matteo right now.
Wait and see how that carrot on the stick mentality goes down. We're riding on board with Josh Ardubou, who's just been looking at the back there, but we now jump on board now with Alessio De Capua, who takes the lead of the British Grand Prix then, using that DRS, using that ERS, and De Capua is done waiting around now. He's got the lead of the race ahead of Patrick Sipos. Now will be the time that he needs to push on and try and build a gap.
Fastest lap 2 as well, potentially coming in. Is it going to be a fastest lap? No, not quite. No, it was not a fastest lap. We would have gotten a message up on the screen, but I think he's really trying to maximize his points here. Certainly, he's going to be pushing very hard. It's difficult to try and pick up the fastest lap if you're not on softs right now, I would say. Soft runners are certainly going to be the most likely to pick up the fastest lap, especially if they're getting DRS and if they can get DRS and make a clean overtake without going side by side, all of those sorts of things. But you have to say, De Capua looking very strong after taking the lead. The gap between himself and Patrick Sipos is quite healthy at the moment.
It is, as we now make our way through Luffield for the penultimate time, through Woodcote and then towards Copse Corner. So De Capua really wants to try and build on this lead right now and add to his collection of wins so far this season. Patrick Sipos now half a second back with Matteo in 3rd, Ardubou in 4th place, Ruben Vallejo. It's just in a bit of a race of his own, and that's quite something to say when someone is 7/10 off the battle for the lead at the moment. However, he's just found himself in that little bit of pocket there where he's not gaining on anybody, but he's not losing time. In fact, he's gaining time on Atte Kapanen behind. But that battle for 6th place, it looks pretty intense all the way down the order there. You can see every single driver below 6th place could all, in theory, grab that position.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised, actually, the way that they're dropping off. It's not drastic. I mean, it's only a 3-second gap after what is now about to become 12 laps of racing as we head on to the final lap. And there it is. I knew it. I knew Alessio Di Capua was trying very, very hard to try and pick up that fastest lap. It gives him an extra point. It gives him a 6/10 gap between himself and Patrick Sipos, his nearest competitor in the championship as well. So it really does behoove him to try and pick up that fastest lap. Let's see if he can hang on to it. Final lap. We've seen some crazy final lap antics this week. Let's see if we get it again.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, he scored 2 podiums so far this season, one of them being a win, and that was at the very first round all the way back in December at Hanoi. So he hasn't had a win since then, and he'll be wanting to chalk up his second win of the series so far. Di Capua trying to pull away as much as possible. There's Patrick Sipos then, second place at the moment in this race and in the series, but he's under pressure then from Matteo behind. He's going to push him all the way to that line. Sipos is going to have to start looking in his mirrors eventually at that papaya orange McLaren behind him. He's going to have to keep his wits about him as we make our way through Maggots and then through Beckett's for the final time. Sipos, though, was closing momentarily on Di Capua, but then you get that dirty air coming through. Di Capua always has the advantage there. Nicolas Matteo then is closing and closing. Sipos defends to the inside then as we fly our way through Stowe corner. Matteo could not find his way through. He's really got one more chance here. He's going to try round the outside of the club corner section. That'll give him the inside line for the final 2 corners. He muscles his way through. He grabs P2. Di Capua takes the win. Matteo second. Patrick Sipos in third. And Alessio Di Capua grabs his second race win of Esports Challengers. What a race. What a finish for Nicolas Matteo. He was not hanging about. He chucked it at the inside. Why not? He's grabbed him P2.
Josh Ardubou off the podium. I would not have predicted that. I could not have told you who was going to win that one. But I definitely would have expected Ardubou in the top 3. I imagine he's going to be frustrated. He had the pace. It was so close between everybody in that top 5, really. Unbelievably close, but it's not Ferrari powered domination on the podium this time, but it is in the winning vehicle. The Haas driver is going to be absolutely thrilled about that one. Alessio Di Capua is going to extend his championship lead. Again, it's so tight on the PC side, but he is going to be extending it ever so slightly and just riding that wave all the way to Spa, and he's going to be trying to continue that run of good form.
Absolutely, and to take you through the official, unofficial results of the British Grand Prix, Alessio Di Capua really grabs all 3 of what you can grab. Pole position, the race win, and the fastest lap of the race. That's 26 points coming his way. Nicolas Matteo in second place with Patrick Sipos rounding off the podium spots. Josh Ardubou in 4th place. Ruben Vallejo in 5th with Atta Kalpanen in 6th. Benza Sabo Konyi in 7th. Sven Nurla in 8th place with Pablo Hoglar in 9th. And Julian Naumann rounds off the top 10. Stefanko finishing in 11th place with Jakob in 12th. Tom 97 in 13th. Failer in 14th. Baena and Kevin Balash not finishing this race. Well, there's not many ways a Grand Prix can go better than that for Alessio Di Capua. Pole position, fastest lap, and the race win. He really couldn't have done anything more.
Julian as well, 16th to 10th, grabbing that 1 championship point. I know it doesn't seem super glamorous, but the way that he gained positions, Martin Stefanko as well, again, just stepping in, and he manages to finish in 11th from 15th on the grid, so it's great to see these guys being competitive. Tom 97 as well, doing a great job, not picking up any sort of penalties, and finishing only 13 seconds behind the race leader. So, yeah, great to see all of these guys coming in and being on the pace. That was a great race, potentially the best Silverstone race that we had of the week. Would you go so far as to say that?
They've all been really good, Justin. They've all been
They're
really
all
good.
winners.
They're all winners, except the winners of the races. They are the winners. But let's go on to that later. I mean, for Di Capua, a bit of domination there, wasn't it, really? All 3 things you can get on a race weekend, he got.
Have we seen that so far this season, actually? Have we seen
not.
somebody? Yeah, I think that's a first. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Thank you for confirming that. Unfortunately, it looks like this is breaking news, so I'm just going to interrupt very briefly. But Kevin Balash, it looks like, will not be continuing for the race at Spa. The reason for his retirement was a wheel issue, and unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make it. So it sounds like we're going to have 15 drivers. I don't know if we're able to source a replacement on that kind of notice. That's that's kind of really, really late. But yeah, that's really unfortunate for Kevin Balash. We saw a technical issue earlier on. You know, it happens in real racing. Engines blow up, suspensions fail, brakes fail. We've seen, as racing fans, Formula One fans, we've seen every sort of retirement over the years of watching. And, you know, you get different sort of retirements, but same sort of stuff happens on the sim racing side. Stuff is out of your control. You know, lightning could strike and take out your entire house. It's really unfortunate when that happens, so you feel for Kevin.
Yeah, and especially ruling him out of the next race at Spa as well. That's going to be a real kick in the teeth. But all that time preparing for Spa, and he's not even going to make it to the grid.
Yeah, it's really, really frustrating, as I said, but it's just one race. You know, it's a 10-race season. You got to keep focus. You know, maybe he's just going to start practicing for Monza and Suzuka on a controller right away or something like that. I imagine he'll be doing absolutely everything he can, and he'll probably be glad that we have that nice break between Event 3 and Event 4, that he can get that problem sorted, make sure he can continue on the championship, and only miss out on these 2 races of points. Again, it's unfortunate for him. He had 31 points coming into this event, though, so missing out on 2 races, not ideal, but he's not out of this just yet. I wish him the best of luck.
Nicolas Matteo grabbing second place at the last possible moment ahead of Patrick Sipos there. Better to leave it late than never, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It was a tough angle because he was on the inside of the penultimate corner and the camera was on the outside. So it made things a little bit difficult in terms of seeing if there was contact between the two of them, if room was given by both drivers, all that kind of stuff. So I won't comment on that, but I will say, yeah, he got the job done when he needed to. It wasn't the race win. I would have loved to see him pick up the race win. That would have been fantastic to see yet another new winner in Challengers. But still, great to see him pick up that second place. Another podium for him. Second podium in 5 races. And heading into Spa, I imagine that's going to help him just to feel that little bit more confident.
And Matteo started tonight outside of that pivotal top 6 of Challengers. So getting those amount of points already puts him up the order. And we've still got another race to go for him to perform in.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of hope that we see some sort of precipitation at Spa. I know the drivers will hate me for even wishing that, because I don't think really the drivers ever wish for wet weather, even if they feel quite confident in their wet weather skills. You know, they're just so prepared for the dry. So yeah, I'm not sure anybody is actually hoping for wet weather, but certainly I am. I would love to see some rain at Spa. Certainly it can happen. It's not quite as likely maybe as Silverstone, but yeah, I would really like to see it, you know, spice up just a little bit in the race in particular. Dry qualifying, wet race, I think that would be nice.
Yeah, well, you do keep commentator cursing things, so in terms of the drivers, that'll be a curse. So that probably will work out for you, Justin. Well, we do have someone waiting for an interview, I believe. We've got Pablo Hoglar waiting in the wings to have a chat with us. And Pablo, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Pablo, thank you for joining us. That British Grand Prix for you. Your thoughts after that one?
Well, it was, first of all, I qualified on P11 in qualifying. I did 4 runs. I was just in time. It was very, very better. I was 1 second off or 2 seconds. I don't know. I can't remember now, but yeah. Then, well, I qualified P11, as I said, with a lap in the last minute. And in the race, I decided to go to the strategy that the PS4 guys did first. Pitting on lap 2-3. I pitted on lap 2 this time, and I think it went well. I can't imagine myself finishing ahead of P9, to be honest, starting P11 or so. So it's the best result I could possibly have done.
Yeah, we've heard drivers this week saying as long as they're finishing ahead of where they qualified, they'll call that a success. I mean, how are you ranking your season so far? How do you think you've done so far?
Well, I think I have done a couple of mistakes. First of all, in China, I went into the pit in the same lap as my teammate, and obviously I got stuck in the pit. So yeah, that was very unfortunate. And then I think I can't remember the other race. It was round 4, I think. I can't remember the sequence now. And Austria. It was Austria. I crashed by myself. I spun. So yeah, I think I'm doing an okay season. Not good, to be honest. I think I could do better, but okay for the moment.
And I'll hand over the microphone to Justin now.
How are you feeling about going into Spa with the one-shot qualifying? Is it a track you feel confident at?
Yeah, I always feel confident in one lap qualifying. I think I can do better in one lap. I think obviously the guys train a lot, and obviously with 4 laps or 3 laps in a normal qualifying or a short qualifying, they have the best possibility to set a good time. But in one lap, I think they all struggle a bit, and I think I do myself a favor on those type of qualifying. And obviously now I will mess up the qualifying because saying this, I said this also in Austria, but I did well. So I wish it's the same. I do a good qualifying.
Well, we wish you the best of luck in the next round and the future events as well too.
Thank you.
And nice to hear from Pablo there, as obviously now the drivers have to pretty much switch as soon as they can to preparing for Belgium. But yeah, speaking of which, we should probably talk about Belgium coming up in a few moments' time. And as Pablo just mentioned there, one-shot qualifying, not a lot of time to get yourself prepared and not a lot of room to make any errors whatsoever.
I gotta say it too. We have fantastic racing. We've had fantastic racing all season long, but I still love the one-shot qualifying so much. I just get so excited every single time it comes on. Genuinely, I think it's so cool to have the differing qualifying styles. It's great to see the drivers moving around and stuff like that, to see you struggling to commentate on everything that's happened. You know, you got 16 cars setting a lap simultaneously, and it's just pure chaos, and it's beautiful and wonderful. And yeah, I just get so excited for it. Again, the races are amazing, but I just really enjoy the one-shot qualifying. I would like to see this format continue in the future with future seasons. I think it's great to have the kind of normal qualifying session and then also a one-shot qualifying. Again, it just highlights different strengths.
Yeah, I'm pretty glad to hear that you enjoy me challenging myself and trying to go through that one lap and one shot qualifying. But yeah, that's fine. No worries, Justin. But yes, Spa-Francorchamps we take you to very soon for that one shot qualifying. Still 25% race, so the drivers will be deciding their positions very shortly, just over that one lap. And if there's something that Spa can bring us in the heart of the Ardennes Forest, it's a little bit of weather with it as well, so keep an eye on that. 7.004 kilometers takes us through the heart of the Ardennes Forest. 2 DRS zones with plenty of undulation awaiting the drivers, as we now take you on a little bit of a hot lap of Spa-Francorchamps.
Hi, I'm Sergio Perez from Racing Point. I love Spa. I think it's a fantastic place. All the fast, fluid corners. The more famous one, I think you know, it's Ardubou, but you have to find time in every single corner. So let's have a look on the onboard, and I hope you enjoy it. So here we start the lap, making sure that we get a good turn one. It's so easy to lose 2 tenths in this corner. It's a long way down to Ardubou, and from that point until the next braking, it's everything flat out, so exit is very important. Ardubou these days it's pretty easy. DRS activation there, and again we arrive into our combination of corners, right, left, very fast chicane, trying to be precise in both of them, just touching the white lines, not quite the curves, to make sure you don't upset the car. Very bumpy entry, missing a bit the apex, but getting a good traction. Then combination of fast corners, pushing hard, turn 11 I think. Oh, this is a fast, using all of the road, inside and outside, just on the limit. Another combination of right left, very important one to make sure that we are on it, and we are onto the final part of the track, flat out from that point until the next braking zone. And it's looking like a great lap. I think that was a pretty solid one. Hard to find anything more, and now we get into the chicane. The tires tend to have a bit of a cooling before we brake in, so this is a very hard braking zone. We get a bit of traffic, which is not ideal there because of the tailwind it produces, and then this is the final place. I hope you enjoy it.
A lap then of Spa as taken through us by Sergio Perez, and let's see what the drivers make of that one. We're not far away from their one-shot qualifying attempt, as you'll soon see. They will be out there momentarily, and here they are then. We're making our way now onwards towards the start-finish line and towards Les Combes, and of course the left-hand side standing shake-up going in towards La Source hairpin there. Just keep an eye on what that will be at the end of the chicane, but we see then Julian Naumann making his way, descending onwards now through Eau Rouge and Radion, the top of Radion, a blind corner, but you're keeping that throttle pedal absolutely planted to the floor as we make our way now on towards the Kemmel Straight. DRS wide open at this moment in time. It is Jan Fehler who's at the top of the timing sheet right now as we head towards the end of the first sector. Riding on board now with Josh Ardubou here, making our way through Les Combes and then onwards through the right-hander here, the final part of Les Combes, and making our way onwards towards Bruxelles. It's downhill on entry, but you see they're taking that curb on entry. You can very easily lock up into this corner, so be careful of that one. Through the newly named X corner, flying through the left-hander there, taking plenty of curb to try and maximise the amount of track you can actually take. Through the double left-hander then of Pouan, then drop a gear if you need to, back then through into 8th gear and descending all the way now on towards the next section then through right and then left as we make our way through La Fogne. Onwards now we go towards Stavelot and then towards Campus, not necessarily in that order, making our way, flying our way through towards Stavelot now, flying through the right-hander and onwards towards Corporal Frere, and it's pretty much full throttle all the way here as you approach Blanchimont. There's Patrick Sipos then. We've jumped to 3rd place in the standings so far. Left-hander of Blanchimont coming up flat out through there as now you make your way towards the final chicane. And now we get an idea of who could possibly be on that provisional pole position. It's De Capua who makes his way through the final chicane and onwards towards the start-finish line. And it's going to be De Capua who makes it back-to-back pole positions here in event number 3. A great lap time from the Italian.
Oh, Tom 97, unfortunately, getting disqualified right at the end there. I'm not sure if he had a corner cut or if he extended or something like that, but that's going to be unfortunate. Oh, he's not the only one, actually. 4 disqualifications. Only 12 drivers setting a time.
Yeah, and that's not going to help the likes of Kalpinen and the likes of Tom 97, but Alessio De Capua grabs pole position once again here tonight. Bentasabo Conye is in 2nd place with Patrick Sipos in 3rd, Jord Ardubou in 4th place, Nicolas Matteo in 5th, Sven Nurla in 6th, Ruben Vallejo in 7th with Pablo Hoglar in 8th, Jan Fehler in 9th, and Norbert Jakob rounding off the top 10. It's Martin Stefanko in 11th place, Julian Naumann in 12th, Atta Kalpinen in 13th place as Tom 97 in 14th, of course 13th, 14th place. Had their lap times disqualified. But we now make our way in towards the next race here, Justin. We've got a couple of seconds to really unpack and preview this Belgian Grand Prix. Looks dry right now. Sun is shining in the air.
Yep, but from what I see, some precipitation might be on the way potentially towards the end of the race. It does look very clear right now, but we'll see how that's going to work out. So if that does happen, that would be very, very exciting. I would be thrilled about that. Also, quick correction on myself. That would be 3 disqualifications since, of course, we only have 15 drivers for the race since we had that hardware issue earlier on. So yeah, we did get those 12 drivers that set those times. Martin Stefanko, like we said, on that all important 11th place where he gets the free choice of tires. And of course they are going to have to start on the tires that they qualified on if they're inside the top 10 because it was dry in qualifying and it's dry for the start here. Ruben Vallejo just joining now. So yeah, he would have been that 15th time on the board actually. And that's why we only had 14 showing. So we're getting ready to go to the race now. I'm really excited, and I really, really do hope we get to see some rain.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure the drivers won't. They'll want a nice, easy race. Not that such a thing exists in Challengers, but they will want a nice, straightforward weather forecast with rain on the way. That's not necessarily what they want, but we're making our way now on towards the grid and towards that start-finish line to get a start here at the Belgian Grand Prix, round number 6 of F1 Esports Challengers here on PC. And we're moments away from counting up to start this race. Here we go then. It is 5 red lights. And we're racing at Spa. What are the stars like? De Capua gets a good start, as so too does Patrick Sipos right behind him. Sabo Conye is going to have to go the long way round in towards La Source hairpin. Patrick Sipos gets the inside line. Does he take away 2nd place? They're going to be battling all the way through. Drivers having to go off the track just behind there to try and get the moves done. But Sabo Conye's got the inside line going into Eau Rouge and up Radion now. And now he could try an attack here on Alessio De Capua. Tucks back into the slipstream here, riding on board with De Capua. As there you can see Sabo Conye trying to go move to the outside as we make our way towards Lecom for the very first time. Too wide through there. De Capua just about holds on to the lead. But once again, Nicolas Matteo trying to charge his way through the order. Has to go the wrong way round at Malmedy, and now descending down towards Bruxelles as Alessio De Capua holds on to the lead of this race. Sabo Conyi in second place. Matteo and Sipos, they're still going side by side as they make their way through X corner. Who's going to get the better exit out of the corner? I think Matteo has got the move done, and yes, he has. Nicolas Matteo once again flying off the start.
Absolutely wild stuff. And behind as well, there was some battling going on. It's unfortunate that we have so much battling going on because we end up missing some of these great battles, but we saw the same thing at Silverstone. We were just so focused on the battle for the lead because, of course, why wouldn't you? But yeah, there was some great battles going on behind that unfortunately we missed out on. But it's a good problem to have as they come towards the end of the opening lap. Josh Ardubou, though, it looked like he was maybe going to try and involve himself in that battle for the third place position, but decided to hang back in the meantime. But yeah, what a start for Sabaconi. De Capua as well he is 2 for 2 for these race starts.
Yeah, he is, and still leading the way then as we make our way on towards the start-finish line as Jan Feiler coming into the pit at the end of the first lap. Now, that really is uncalled. You know, we weren't expecting that at all. We're going too wide just ahead of Atta Kalpanen then. That's Jakob and Hoglar going side by side as they make their way through La Source. Down the hill they go. They're still running side by side. We've seen side-by-side action going through Eau Rouge before. Is anyone going to blink? Neither of them blink as they go up the hill now, up through Radion. They're still side by side. Jakob and Hoglar still running side by side next to each other down the Kemmel Straight. Still no DRS, so they'll still run side by side. Jakob has just about got his nose ahead as we make our way in towards Lecom, but Hoglar has the inside line initially. He'll have the outside, then the inside at Malmedy, and Hoglar manages to hold on to 7th place there. Jakob did not make that easy for him one bit. Great battling there.
You love to see it, side by side, through Eau Rouge, through Radion, on the Kemmel Straight, into Lecom the whole time, just side by side, and that has really helped out the top 6, though. Look at that, DRS not active just yet, but Pablo Hoglar has fallen outside of that DRS range of the McLaren ahead.
He has indeed, and he's got to try and get himself back on the horse and try and make his way back and try and gain that time back. But De Capua, in his current form, he's just looking to try and move away as much as possible. That might be too, as well, trying to use the ERS to try and get away from drivers behind you, which can come back to bite you when you don't have any ERS to keep extending that gap. So we'll have to keep an eye on the gap in those first couple of laps. But at the moment, though, De Capua still leads the way. Sabo Conyi is in second, Matteo in third, with Sipos in fourth, Ardubou in fifth, with Nerla in sixth, Hoglar in seventh, Jakob in eighth, Kalpanen in ninth, and Julian Naumann is in 10th place. There's Tom 97 in 12th place at this moment in time, and again on those medium tyres, looking to try and find his way through. He's got Vallejo right ahead of him, and Vallejo, who was started on those soft tyres, hasn't had the greatest start in the world, but Spa is a long circuit, it's a long race. We've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, just going over the drivers that are on, started on the medium tyres, Atta Kalpanen, Julian, Tom 97, Iker Baena, and I believe Martin Stefanko as well. All on, yep, there you go. You can see it on the left-hand side, actually, which drivers are on the used mediums. Up ahead, Ruben Vallejo looks like he maybe wants to try something on Julian. Tom 97, interestingly, staying out of the slipstream. He was kind of driving down the middle of the Kemmel Straight. Not sure what that was all about, but I'm sure he has a good reason for it. He's got Ruben Vallejo ahead. Again, Ruben on the soft compounded tires, though, so I would expect Tom is just going to try to stick to the back of that Red Bull.
Well, riding on board still with Tom 97 as he takes us all the way now, going through X corner and now towards Huon. There's Kalpanen then, Atta Kalpanen. 9th place so far, up 4 positions from where he first started. He's made some big gains here at the opening lap here at Spa-Francorchamps, and the biggest mover going up the field that we can see right there. So really good start from Kalpanen.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Sabaconi in real danger of falling outside the DRS. He already did once. He was able to claw that back towards the end of lap 2. He's still within the DRS range, but only slightly. Certainly, I would expect he is on maximum attack when it comes to ERS deployment. He really does not want to fall outside of that, if only because that is going to be an open invitation to Nicolas Matteo, and potentially it could give Nicolas Matteo the opportunity to fight for the win as well. We see a car pulling off into the pits. That's Pablo Hoglar just up the road a little bit. He's going to be on the right-hand side going into the pits now. It looks like he is the only one coming in this lap, so he's got the entire pit lane to himself, which is great news. He's not going to get held up in any way whatsoever. Ruben Vallejo missing the apex ever so slightly for Lesaurus. Not a massive problem. You can miss the apex through there, but he gets a nice run down towards Eau Rouge, moving far to the right, and then finding his apexes through the hill, using that slipstream, coming up over the hill, going to activate the DRS now, but he's already got the overspeed on Julian. Julian leaving him not enough room there, nearly pushing him into the grass, side by side into Lake Home. Will he be able to go around the outside if he breaks late enough? Yes, he does. It'll be the inside line for the next left-hander anyway, and Vallejo's up in position again, making good use of those soft compound tires on these medium runners.
The momentum he carried on the approach to Eau Rouge and then going through Radion as well, he timed that to perfection, and he does now move up into 9th place, but he's got to make those soft tyres work. He's got to try and find his way through the order. Kalpanen is his next target and the only remaining driver on those medium tyres, so he's got to try and find the way through.
Sabaconia is well up front, looking a little bit more comfortable. He's found a 10th or so under Capua. So he seems just a little bit safer this lap compared to the previous lap. Mateo's not all that close either, actually. He's 8/10 off of the Renault ahead of him as well. So, yeah, not a whole lot of battling going on in the top 3 currently, but then it tightens up a little bit after that. And then again, we have that gap that's started to form between 6th and 7th position. So the top 6 have kind of broken away. 3.5 seconds is the gap down to 7.
Yeah, and we're seeing there Ruben Vallejo just trying to close in as much as he can to Atta Kalpanen at this moment in time, making our way in towards that final chicane, onwards towards to start another lap. De Capua leads on the 5th lap of this race. Sabo Conyes in 2nd place, Nicolas Matteo in 3rd with Sipos in 4th. Here's Tom 97 with a little bit of DRS on the car ahead of Julian Naumann, but no way through so far in towards La Source. And you'll see going through La Source, drivers seem to shy away from a move down there, not because of the nature of the corner, although that is a big contributing factor, is because they've got this section here, Eau Rouge over the top of Radion and then down the Kemmel Straight. This seems to be a much more inviting location to try and make a move. Is Tom 97 closing in onto the back of Naumann? Well, Naumann just tries to break the toe a little bit, goes a little bit defensive, then takes back the racing line. Perfectly legal move to stay ahead. Tom 97 still in 11th place.
I imagine the Kemmel Strait doubles as an emergency runway for planes that are experiencing engine failure, because it just goes on and on and on, and that is an open invitation for Tom 97 as the Williams ahead locks up through the downhill right-hander of turn 10. He wasn't able to complete the move, but that puts him right on the back of him. We'll see if he can try anything a little bit later in the lap, but this positions him fantastically to try to move himself up into the top 10. You can see, again, he's actually staying out of the slipstream there. I wonder if he's just trying to keep the brakes cool or something like that. More twitching from the Williams ahead. Surely Tom 97 has got to be thinking about an overtake after seeing Julian struggling a little bit here.
I'm pretty sure at this point Naumann is posting a letter through Tom 97's door, sending him the invitation to have the overtake. But he's holding on at the moment, is Naumann. No matter how much that back end wants to go out, no matter how much he locks up into Bruxelles, he is still keeping that car ahead of Tom 97. But here we see then Tom, can he get a move then in towards the chicane? He thinks about it. He's going to lunge for it now, in towards the bus stop chicane. He'll be on the outside for the second part, but will he get the better traction, the better run off the corner? Still running side by side, no way through. Naumann holds on once again, and as you can see there, Tom 97 again wanting to try and move in towards La Source hairpin. He backed out of that one to try and get a bit of a better exit out of La Source, but fair play to Julian Naumann. He's not making this easy. He is defending like his life depends on it. That P10, he says, is mine.
Yeah, Tom 97 rightfully identified after that mistake at turn 10. He said, you know, I bet I have a shot here at an overtake. Let's see if he's going to try it again at the end of the Kemmel Straight. He is going to be side by side, outside line though, as he gets on the brakes into Lake Home. Not quite as late, but he is alongside. The Williams has to leave room. The Red Bull of Iker Baena in the background going side by side actually with Martin Stefanko as well. So we got a couple of battles going on here for just outside the points paying positions, but it looks like Iker Baena will manage to hang on to that position, as will Julian.
Yes, and you can see so many people are trying to battle away for 1 point. And that just shows you how much that point means to these drivers. They all want to score it, but only one of them can for that coveted 10th place. At the moment, though, well, it's getting a bit dark at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. The clouds are starting to gather over the circuit. Not great signs, I've got to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it might be great signs if you're Jan Fehler or Pablo Hoglar, one of those guys that's bringing up the rear. They're going to be absolutely hoping that it just starts chucking it down right after the top 13 make it past the pit lane is what they're going to be hoping for, because then they can, just position themselves really, really well. Patrick Sipos, 4th position as it stands right now, quite high up on the standings. He's behind Nicolas Matteo. Again, we haven't seen a whole lot of battling going on in the top 3, the top 4, even the top 5. Josh Ardubou really not applying too much pressure. The gap continues to extend as well between 6th and 7th. Was 3.5 seconds, now is 5.2 seconds. Another 1.7 seconds added on to that gap. So it really seems the top 6, continue to just break away and just ensure that they're in that all-important top 6. Again, it's the top 6 that go through to the draft and have a chance of being picked by one of these F1 teams. So to finish in the top 6 is step 1. That's goal number 1. Anything beyond that is just gravy.
Absolutely. We're seeing Tom 97 once again trying to put some pressure on Julian Naumann, but you can see Naumann does not crack that easily under pressure as Tom 97 gets a big moment there coming out of Malmedy, but he manages to hang on to it as we now make our way through Brussels and then towards X corner. But he's showing a couple of cracks of pressure as well. Iker Baena will be looking the same way at Tom 97 as Tom 97 was at Julian Naumann just a lap ago. So got to be careful. You can really try and push and put the other driver under pressure, but you've got to be careful not to crack under that pressure from the car behind as well.
You have to say Julian looking more comfortable, as you pointed out, than last lap. Last lap was a little bit more of a struggle for him, but he's looking more comfortable now. Lap 7 out of 11. Again, it's only 11 laps for this 25% distance race just because of how long the lap is here at Spa. Let's see if Tom 97 is going to try anything this time. He's given it a go. I gotta say, he is incredibly patient, though. Other drivers, I feel like, would have really just tried to muscle their way through, potentially. He gets so close coming into the bus stop chicane. And again, as you pointed out, Karen, Iker Baena right behind. Oh, look at that, finding the nose up the inside through the final corner. And I think he's gone for a spin as a result of that. He's lost at least 1 position to Martin Stefanko, who says, thank you very much, I will take that. Tom 97 finds his apex through turn 1. Let's see if he can set himself up for an overtake into Lake Home.
Descending now onwards towards Eau Rouge and Radion, and just trying to fill his mirrors there is Tom 97 on Julian Naumann, just to let him know he's there. And with a dazzling red car like the Ferrari, you're not going to miss it if it's there in your mirrors. But we're riding on board now with Tom 97 as he makes his way now on towards Les Combes. Will he try and move up the inside? No, he won't. But Naumann, though, almost outbreaks himself there. He really attacked to try and defend. Yes, that does make sense. Tom 97 still trying to get a move done then in towards Brussels as Naumann this time around has the inside line, and you can see there he is defending really, really well. He's knowing exactly where to position that car and how late to brake. He's doing it to perfection right now.
Tom 97 as well, identifying when he needs to back out, when the position is lost. He's doing a great job. He tried to go around the outside of turn 10. It wasn't quite working. The Williams started to drift a little bit wide. He backed out of it, saved his front wing, and I think that's exactly the right call. Patrick Sipos, though, very close to the back of Nicolas Matteo here.
He really is, as we now make our way on through Blanchemont, riding on board then with Sipos. He's right on the back of Nicolas Matteo. Is there a move coming here at the chicane? And you can see that Matteo sees that one coming, gives a little move over to the right to just prevent Sipos from thinking about that move. And now we make our way on towards the start-finish straight once again. Lap number 9 has started, 3 to go here at Spa-Francorchamps. Sven Nurler has come into the pits then, as we're still riding on board with Patrick Sipos now on the exit of La Source and running now down the hill as we make our way towards Eau Rouge and Radion. He's right in that slipstream of Matteo ahead of him. Is there a chance? And there is some rain on the lens there. Yes. There is some rain on the halo. That's the sure sign here. And with 3 laps to go, some of these drivers will be thinking it's not worth pitting in for intermediate tyres. Meanwhile, Matteo is putting some pressure on Savo Cogni right ahead. He tried to move then, but Savo Cogni had that covered and still holds on to second place. But lap 9 here is when the rain starts to fall. That's one of the worst times it can start to fall, because drivers now have to make a decision. Are they going to pit in for some intermediates and hope 14 kilometers is quicker? Or is it worth just staying out on the slick tyres, not make a pit stop, and then try and get it to the end? It's a real dilemma the drivers have here.
Yeah, Sven Nurler, who pitted and dropped down into 13th position, could be on to gain a load of positions as a result of that. Or he might be finishing in 13th position possibly. And that's the gamble. But look at this. That is certainly a good amount of precipitation. It's tough to tell whether or not, it's time for these guys to come in for a set of intermediates, but certainly they're going to be thinking about it because that is looking wetter and wetter and wetter.
Yeah, this late on in the race as well, it's not, the drivers are going to be siding with staying out. Meanwhile, Nicolas Matteo is really closing up to the back of Sabo Conyers. Once again, we head towards the chicane. Matteo up the inside. Can he get that car slowed down? They're still running side by side all the way through. They're all jumping into the pit lane then. So they all want to go onto those intermediate tyres. Is anyone going to take the risk? It's a long, long lap here at Spa. If you get this call wrong, you are not going to see the end of it. Naumann, though, stays out. He's one of the only drivers to stay out there. Is there anyone joining him? Yes, Tom97 has stayed out as well. So lots of drivers coming into the pit. And for Naumann and Tom97, this is going to be the longest 14 kilometers they've ever driven.
That is exactly right. Holy cow, it's time to see what you got, because Julian barely made turn 1, it looked like to me. Here he goes through Eau Rouge. Is he going to make it? No problem. Sounded like a lift to me. Tom97 right behind as well. He could be looking for an overtake here. I believe DRS is still activated. We might see him moving to the right-hand side now in the Ferrari. Yes, he does with that overspeed. He takes the lead of the race. Tom97 is leading the race here in F1 Esports Challengers, and he is a replacement. He just came in. This is his first race. He's leading the way. He's got a lap and a half. There's a 4-second gap to Martin Stefanko. I believe he stayed out. I don't think he's been into the pits. No, he wouldn't have been into the pits. Alessio Di Capua must be the first of the intermediate runners, so they're about 8 seconds or so. Tom97 needs to hang on. We'll see if he can do it. He seems quicker than Julian, though.
Yeah, remember though, it is a super long lap here at Spa. It's 7 kilometers. As you see there, intermediate tyres on. Di Capua has gone for mediums.
Is that a mistake?
Well, we're about to find out. This might be a really good call to go onto a set of fresh tyres, or it could be a bit of a mistake. He's got Matteo right behind, who's on those intermediate tyres, so we're about to find out whether it will be a mistake or not. Tom97 has taken the lead of this race then, as DRS is now disabled, so that's your surefire sign that that crossover point is very close, if not already happened. So this would be the time that you would think about pitting in. Matteo then is right on the back of Di Capua then, as they make their way through side by side through Blanchimont. Matteo's got the move done, and Di Capua could barely keep that rear end in check. Nicolas Matteo takes the lead then. Tom97 comes into the pits as he Stefanko also sliding his way in towards the pits then, and Julian's been disqualified because he hasn't used 2 types of tyre. He was still on the medium when he crossed the line, so he's not going to take the win. Nicolas Matteo takes the lead. Josh Ardubou then goes up the inside of Di Capua, and maybe that was a mistake here from Di Capua. He's falling down the order. He's free falling down the order. Nicolas Matteo takes the lead. Sabo Conyers in second place. Josh Ardubou in third place, and Di Capua now has got about 6 kilometers to hold on to fourth place. He's got a 3-second buffer to Sven Nurle right now. He should be able to do it, but it's a long, long lap here at Spa.
It really is. And I wonder if TRL Limitless is watching and screaming, they put the dries on. They put the dries on. I cannot believe that Alessio Di Capua has gone on to the mediums. It's clearly not worked for him. The championship leader is going to be really struggling here. But again, I think he could be on for still like a top 5 finish, something like that. Patrick Sipos overtaking Sven Nurle for 5th position, getting himself up into the top 5. And Benson Sabacogni in 2nd position on those intermediate tires. Is he going to actually be able to mount an attack on Nicolas Matteo? I don't think so. Nicolas Matteo might still get that first maiden win here in the F1 Esports Challengers.
So we're seeing here Di Capua struggling again. Sipos now takes a move all the way through Pouon there. So Di Capua's now down to 5th place, and you've got a stream of cars right behind as well. But look at this then. Nicolas Matteo making his way through. His best finish so far was at the Chinese Grand Prix. We finished 2nd there with those 18 points. Yet to score a win on the board. It's been a bit up and down, but there is Di Capua, who's off the track there. Tom97 up to 6th place in the closing stages of this race. Nicolas Matteo will be close close to the line very, very soon to try and take the checkered flag in these treacherous conditions now for the dry tyres. But Nicolas Matteo will just be holding on now. There's the checkered flag, and there's the win for Nicolas Matteo. His first win of F1 Esports Challengers. It's Sabo Konyi in second place, Josh Ardubou in third, with Patrick Sipos crossing the line in fourth place. Kalpanen finishes in fifth place, Ruben Vallejo in sixth. Tom 97, replacing a driver just this event, finishes in seventh place. De Capua spins across the line to get eighth place, but at least that's some points on the board for him. Jakob there in ninth, and Ika Baena scores points in the season as well. Good drive from him. What a dramatic race that was. But don't tell that to Nicolas Matteo. He'll say that was one of the best races ever. He wins the Belgian Grand Prix.
Fantastic. That was exactly what I wanted. I said I wanted a crossover point. I said I wanted dry to wet, wet to dry, whatever it is. We got it. Absolutely fantastic. Wow. I am just absolutely thrilled about how that went. Huge congratulations to Nicolas Matteo. Very, very well deserved. Commiserations for Alessio De Capua. I have to assume that he meant to put on the intermediates. Something went wrong, some kind of miscommunication, and he ended up going onto a set of the mediums there. Great call from Tom 97 to stay out, put the inters on at the last lap. Amazing.
Well, there you go then. There is your official, unofficial results then for the Belgian Grand Prix. Nicolas Matteo takes his first race win of Challengers this series. Benza Sabo Konyi in second place, with Josh Ardubou finishing in third. Patrick Sipos in fourth. Great drive then from Atta Kalpanen. From 13th on the grid, he finished in fifth place. Really good drive. Ruben Vallejo in sixth place. Tom 97 then in seventh place. De Capua still gets the fastest lap of the race to his name, so that's an extra bonus point for him to, ease those woes. Norbert Jakob in ninth place, with Ika Baena rounding off the points. Martin Stefanko in 11th place, Pablo Hoglar in 12th, Jan Fehler 13th, with Sven Nerler with 10 seconds worth of in-game penalties in 14th place, and Julian Naumann disqualified from the race because he failed to use two types of dry compound. If he'd have come in on that last lap before he crossed the checkered flag and pitted onto a set of intermediates, he'd have still been in there and probably round about where Tom 97 was as well.
Potentially Ruben Vallejo as well too. He could have been on for a sixth place finish. Who knows? You can only say what might have been, but man, what a finish to that race. Tom 97 and Stefanko in 11th very, very nearly made it both replacement drivers in the points. How crazy would that have been?
That would have been pretty crazy, wouldn't it? I mean, the two of those would have had just a great race entirely. I don't think Tom 97 was expecting to get those points finishes today, especially after the first 8 or 9 laps in that race. But when that rain fell, the drivers had to make a choice. They really, really did. And in the end, those that chose the intermediates were the winners in the end.
Yep, that was the right call. The rain came fast and pretty heavy as well too, so those intermediates became quicker pretty quickly. It was surprising actually to me. Again, it can sometimes be hard to gauge just how wet it is from a spectator point of view. The only people who really truly know just how wet it is are of course the drivers. They're the ones that can tell you exactly how bad the conditions are out there. So oh man, I wonder if we'll get to hear from Alessio De Capua or anything like that. I wonder if we'll hear from any of the drivers, but wow, that was potentially I don't know if it was the best race, but it was possibly the best finish to a race that we've had, certainly this week. I mean, that was just nuts.
Absolutely, and we're just getting word here that with De Capua, wrong button. You were absolutely right there, Justin. So it must have been a case where he got down the pit lane, and once you reach a certain point in that pit lane, once you are just about to turn into your pit box, it grays out. You can't make any more changes, and so that's where probably the mistake came in. We've got two drivers awaiting to talk to us. I think one of them we can talk to now in Tom 97. Tom, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Tom, that was a pretty eventful Belgian Grand Prix. That's a bit of an understatement. Just talk us through there, because lap number 8, rain starts to fall. What's going through your head?
It was coming down quite slow at first. I thought to myself, do I go for the soft? It was really like on that knife edge, but in the end I just decided, okay, I'm going to stay out. Probably stayed out 1 lap too late, because as I stayed out with Julian, we got the message on the radio saying to pit for inters at the bus stop. So we had to do a full lap, where probably wasn't the quickest track for us, but I just had to get past Julian. That was the key thing of my race, and I couldn't do it. I kept overheating my engine, which is a big problem I have, and I can't seem to get on top of that. But then once everybody pit, and it was just me versus him on the straight, my engine was a lot cooler, and I got him straight away. So then that kind of released me on that last lap to try and get something out of the race, but it was too late.
Yeah,
I was wondering why you were staying out of the slipstream. It was to cool your engine, wasn't it?
Oh my god, it was, yeah, for sure. I mean, I overfueled massively for the first race because, again, I've come in with about 45 minutes practice, if that. So I'm used to 50% races. So again, I overfueled with a big mistake, and I probably overfueled again in the second race. So I was trying to burn the fuel, but at the same time, that meant I was overheating. So it was a bit of like a balancing act, and I didn't really do a good job of it, to be fair.
Well, I mean, as well as that, when it came to that sort of end of the Belgian Grand Prix, we're going to talk about the Belgian Grand Prix because it's your first points here in Challengers, and as you say, with 45-minute practice, that's pretty good. The news is, are you here with the rest of us for the season? Are you here for the next 4 rounds?
Based off the information I've been given, I think I am.
Well, that's good.
So hopefully I'll do better next time.
Yeah, so next 4 races then, give us an idea of what your targets are for the rest of this season, considering you are a mid-season driver.
It's a tricky one. Obviously, I'm getting used to the fact that it's 16 car grids as well, so that makes it a bit more interesting. I feel like if I could score points every race, just consistently getting the points, that P6 to P8 area, maybe P5, in that kind of region, I feel like there's a few drivers who I will admit are a bit out of my league. So if I can just kind of, be best of the rest, picking up those outside points, just outside the podium kind of thing, if I can be there consistently, that would be pretty decent for me.
And I'll hand over that microphone to Justin then.
Well, yeah, huge congratulations, obviously. That was unbelievable to watch. Really, really enjoyed that. I just have one question. How did it feel leading on your first esports attempt to be winning the race? I mean, you must have known you still got to go into the pits, but how did it feel just being, having that 1 next to your name?
It was a good moment. Breathing fresh air, nobody in front of me. It was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, I knew I had to pit, to be fair. I'm surprised Julian got that one wrong. Not sure what happened with him. He got disqualified for not pitting, I believe. So shame for him. But yeah, I enjoyed those, let's say 45 seconds, really. Not optimal track conditions, so I didn't get to fully enjoy it. But it was good fun nonetheless.
Well, best of luck to you for the rest of the events. Huge congratulations on a great finish today.
Thank you very much.
And we have one more driver waiting to join us in Martin Stefanko. Martin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Martin, wherever you go, we seem to enjoy some great racing from you. How did you find it out there?
Hello. I mean, yeah, it was good fun. I mean, I didn't really prepare for it because this is the only chance I got to race as a reserve, because for the next 2 events I will not be able to race because of other events and stuff like that. So, my main goal was to just enjoy it, and that's what I did. So it was really, really good fun. Even without practice and, finishing just outside the points twice, it was very good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, talk us how you found the 2 races as well. Obviously, Britain followed straight after by one-shot qualifying at Belgium. Just talk us through how you found it.
Well, it was really good fun. I mean, I like Silverstone a lot. It's one of my most favorite tracks, and the pace was, I mean, it was not on the level of the top guys because, again, I didn't really practice, but it was still okay, and I felt really good there. But Spa, it was more tricky. Didn't really have a good pace there, but managed to make a decent strategy call with the intermediates, even though I could have probably pitted a lap earlier. But yeah, again, it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it.
Well, that's great stuff. And I have to ask you about Belgium as well, because that rain came very late on in that race. What's the thoughts going through your head that late on?
Yeah, I saw at the predictions that the rain was gonna come towards the end, and I was like, oh god, because I don't remember doing any laps in the rain on this game, so I was to be honest, I was kind of scared, and then I was kind of thinking when I should pit, and on lap 9, I think I saw everybody going into the pits, and I was like, okay, I think it's still early enough, and it's huge traffic, you can get held up quite a lot with a lot of cars in the pits. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay one more lap, and it was good. The first sectors, the pace was still good, but the last sector, it was like on ice. Like I was sliding everywhere, and then I nearly spun before the pit lane. It was it was so insane. Like, yeah, it was really, really tough to keep the calm track. So basically what I gained by staying a lap later in the first 2 sectors, I lost it in the final sector, so I didn't really gain anything. but yeah, I got, so some guys didn't pit for the interest, so I managed to pass them quite easily and finish 11 again. I mean, just outside of points. Yeah, would have been nice to get at least a point, but you know, I'm still happy, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good racing.
Well, there you go, then, mission accomplished for you, Martin. I'll hand over the microphone to Justin now.
Actually, since I've got you, I wanted to ask you, how does this, obviously you're just jumping in, different games, stuff like that, but how do you think this new batch of drivers, since you're an F1 Esports veteran, having driven in the Pro Series before, how do you think this new batch of drivers compares? Do you think, because I've said earlier in the season that I think, it just gets better and better every single season, it gets harder and harder, the competition gets crazier and crazier. Would you agree with that, or would you say it's about the same of what you experienced previously?
No, these guys are definitely better than they were when I was racing. Much better. Like the level from 2019 onwards has been much higher than 2018 and previous years. Like from 2019 onwards, it got really higher, and it keeps getting better and better each year. So these guys are really good. Some of these guys really deserve a chance in the Pro Series because they are really, really fast. And hopefully we see some of them in the actual Pro Series this year. But yeah, these guys are really, 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 really fast and really tough to beat and race against. But yeah, it's the level of competition here is very, very high, and it keeps getting better.
Well, I really appreciate that feedback and just confirming what I suspected to be true. And thank you so much for filling in today and putting on some entertainment for us. We did get to see you a little bit on the stream, battling it out. So yeah, just thanks for coming in and racing. Yeah, fantastic. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thank you. It was a great experience, and again, I really enjoyed it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And that's Martin Stefanko there, and yeah, a bit of a legend around wherever he goes, whichever car he jumps into, he's always going to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, great guy. I've known Martin for years now through various different things, and yeah, it's great to see him come in and still be on the pace. Again, that 11th place finish, I think, really shows, especially with how little preparation he would have had and the few hours. He said he'd never driven in the wet on F1 2020. Can you imagine having never driven in the wet and being thrown into a situation like that? And indeed, I think his experience is what allowed him to finish just outside those points. He's got a wise old head on his shoulders, and he nearly denied somebody a championship point with that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about, of course, one of our newest winners then in F1 Esports Challengers, in Nicolas Matteo. I mean, yeah, the weather gods were there, but he was the one to take advantage.
Exactly. And I mean, he was right there at Silverstone as well, too. He was really on it today. He had one podium coming into this weekend, 31 points, just outside of the top 6. So we knew he was, one of the quick guys for sure, no doubt about it. They're all very quick, but we knew that he was up there. But this week was a whole other level, and we kind of touched on that at the beginning of the broadcast. We saw on the PS4 and Xbox One side some new people emerge in this third event and do quite well and really gain a lot of positions in the championship, and that's exactly what Nicolas Matteo did. Really made a name for himself, I think, with some really good, clean, fair racing, and some really nice overtakes as well too. He did it. He did it the hard way. He had to battle, he had to take the lead and stuff like that. We saw Alessio Di Capua, take the pole position, take the win, take the fastest lap. That's another kind of impressive, very, very impressive. But Nicolas Matteo bouncing back this week and getting 2 very solid results.
I mean, that is something that Di Capua can take away from tonight's racing action. He's got, I think, one of the first F1 Esports Challengers Grand Slams in having all 3 of those accomplishments in one race. So fantastic for him. But that one mistake in the pit lane, it's debatable. Would that have cost him a 3rd win for him?
Yeah, he was definitely in it. It's tough to say. It's tough to say for sure, but he certainly would have been involved. He lost so many points as a result of that. I mean, he would have been in the top 3 or 4, I would say, if he had made that mistake. Finishing in 8th position with the fastest lap means 5 championship points versus potentially 15 or 12. So he lost out on 7 to 10 championship points, you could say, potentially as a result of that mistake. So that is quite an expensive button press mistake to have. But again, lots of positives. I think he has really, in a similar sort of way as Timon with the repeat wins and all that, he has really cemented himself as one of the top guys, and I imagine he's going to be feeling pretty confident going into event 4. I can't believe it, but we are coming to the end of the week for event 3, and what a week it has been, though.
It just flies by, doesn't it? It absolutely flies by. So, but it means that we've seen some great racing action, and we have seen what Justin has been waiting for: some rain to affect the race. And that's what he's been asking for since event 1. It finally happened. It only took 6 events. It only took 6 rounds of PC, but that's great stuff to see. One thing I do want to say as well, Josh Ardubou, I mean, it was a strong haul of points, so too for Patrick Sipos. Kalpanen as well struggled off the start for tonight, but did make up for it in the end.
Yeah, I would imagine Ardubou is going to be disappointed. I think that 4th at Silverstone, was it 4th at Silverstone? Let me just double check. Yeah, 4th at Silverstone. I imagine that's going to be upsetting for him. He's going to wish that he had been on that podium. 3rd at Spa, and right there with the top guys. I think he'll be pretty happy with that. But I mean, a 3rd and a 4th, he's going to be coming home with 25 championship points. So, or actually 27 championship points. I'm trying to do math live, which is never a good sign. 27 championship points, a nice haul. Again, top 6 is what's most important. Goal number 1 for these drivers is to just get into the top 6. And he was firmly in that top 6 in both races. So call it a success. But I just know he's not going to be happy with that 4th at his home race of Silverstone.
Yeah, and of course our attention turns to the result of tonight, and I believe we do have the confirmed results from the both races of tonight. So let's focus on Silverstone. It was Alessio Di Capua who grabbed his 2nd race win of the series, with Nicolas Matteo in 2nd place, Patrick Sipos rounding off the top 3, Josh Ardubou in 4th, Ruben Vallejo in 5th place with Kalpanen in 6th place, Bentasabo Konyi in 7th with Sven Nurle in 8th, Pablo Hoglar in 9th, and Julian Naumann rounding off the top 10. Of course, Di Capua grabbing the fastest lap bonus point in that race. Martin Stefanko there in 11th place with Norbert Jakob in 12th, Tommy Martinez, Tom 97 in 13th, Jan Feder in 14th, Ika Baena and Kevin Balash, of course, retiring. Of course, Kevin Balash's retirement proved to be a little bit more serious. His wheel decided to give up the ghost, and so he did not start the Belgian Grand Prix. Speaking of that Belgian Grand Prix of round number 6 here on the PC side of F1 Esports Challengers, here are the results from that. Nicolas Matteo grabs his first win of F1 Esports Challengers. Sabo Konyi in 2nd place was Josh Ardubou grabbing that last podium spot. Patrick Sipos in 4th place with Atte Kalpanen in 5th. Ruben Vallejo in 6th place with Tom 97 rounding off that 7th place. Alessio Di Capua falling down the order, but did grab the fastest lap of the race. He finished in 8th place. Norbert Jakob in 9th place and Ika Baena rounding off the top 10 on point scoring positions. To complete the order then, Martin Stefanko makes it back-to-back 11th places. Pablo Hoglar in 12th place, Jan Feder in 13th with Sven Nurle in 14th place. And out of the 15 runners, only Julian Naumann, who started that race, was the only one he did not finish. And that, of course, then, add them all together, and we get you the results after event number 3. It is still Alessio Di Capua who leads the event and leads challenges on 84 points. It's Nicolas Matteo in 2nd place with Patrick Sipos in 3rd. Josh Ardubou in 4th place with Atte Kalpanen in 5th. Ruben Vallejo rounds off that top 6. Strong event from Bentasabo Konyi. He goes all the way now up to 7th place. Kevin Balash with no points over the 2 races falls to 8th. Sven Nurle in 9th and Jan Feder rounding off the 10 drivers there. To complete the order then, in 11th place, we have Tom 97, 2 races, 6 points for him. Not a bad effort at all. Pablo Hoglar in 12th place with Norbert Jakob in 13th, Ika Baena in 14th, Julian Naumann in 15th place, and Martin Stefanko in his only 2 races didn't score a point, but did get 2 11th places under his belt. So that's what it looks like right now then. Di Capua, well, that little bit of a mistake at the Belgian Grand Prix, fitting the wrong tyres. He still holds on to the lead there, and I think he did score some good points. He scored 5 points, and okay, that might be 21 fewer than what he wanted to score, but at least he gets some points on the board.
Yeah, exactly. What a day for Nicolas Matteo, though. From 7th in the standings to 2nd in the standings. That is the glow up of the century. Absolutely insane. And to do it at this level of competition is even more impressive. So yeah, what a week for him. Did a fantastic job. I imagine Patrick Sipos is going to have his eye on Matteo for the next one, though. He's going to want that second place position back.
He absolutely does. And it just proves to you that here in Challengers, it really isn't over until it's over. Everyone still has that chance to get into the top 6. As long as you keep getting those performances in, who knows when your next win will turn up? Who knows when your podium will turn up? You could be rewarded with a little bit of rain late on into a race. Nicolas Matteo grabs his first race win, with Da Capo grabbing his second of Challengers. He still leads the Drivers' Championship here in Challengers. And that brings an end to event number 3 across all 3 platforms. And I'm sorry, we're going to have to wait another month before we can go racing again. But 2 more classic tracks, Monza and Suzuka. How does that sound, Justin?
I'm absolutely ready for it. Again, Spa is my favorite. I'm gonna close out the week with that. Spa is my favorite, but Suzuka and Monza are up there, especially from a spectating point of view.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to it already. And you can catch it, all the action there. Make sure you go ahead and join us for that really, really exciting time. Of course, round number 7 and round number 8 will take us to Monza and, of course, Suzuka. We hope to see you then. Justin, it's been a pleasure to be alongside you once again. We've got 4 more rounds to go. It's anybody's game, really, for that top 6.
It really is. I'm not making any sort of predictions when it comes to that sort of stuff, but I can predict that we're going to get a lot more great racing.
Well, let's hope we do. And it hasn't stopped us before. It won't stop the drivers. It won't stop them any more than it will. But hopefully you've enjoyed tonight's racing action. We've been absolutely pleasured to bring that action to you. And hopefully we will see you again next month. From myself, Kieran McGinley, and Justin Sutton alongside, thank you for joining us. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you very soon. Good night.